Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, please email me. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. Your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today we are discussing the exquisite third generation Vacheron Constantin Overseas. This model is the Chronograph. The watch as you see it here was part of a series debuted in 2016, the most sophisticated overseas family yet. It's a large watch at 42.5 millimeters in diameter, 13.8 millimeters thick, lug-to-lug if we just measure the case. It's 50.4 millimeters, but if we measure to the edge of the outermost links, the total rigid distance across the wrist is a more substantial 53.8 millimeters. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see the watch wears a little bit like a Royal Oak offshore, at least in terms of the space it takes up. It's not quite as thick as an offshore, but it's definitely more robust than something like an overseas self-winding. This almost feels like it's halfway between a Royal Oak Chronograph 41 and an offshore in terms of the fit and how it wears. It is comfortable though. You can see down the barrel, the lugs are not out to the edge of my wrist. The bracelet's out over the edge of my wrist, but the lugs are not. I believe you could wear this watch on a 15 centimeter circumference wrist or larger. You could see the cuff shot with a sloped flank. It's got a chance against a dress cuff or a tight sleeve, and it'll be absolutely fine with sports jackets and formal jackets. Now, if you do want to wear the watch on a smaller wrist, the best way is to put it on one of the two straps that come with it. It comes with a leather strap and a rubber strap, and they are equipped with a second deployant clasp that can be used with those straps. To make it easier to swap straps, you get a little trigger system on the bottom of the bracelet that allows you to quickly and easily dismount any strap or bracelet from the case. Also, to the credit of Vacheron designers, every single link of the bracelet on both sides of the bracelet is removable. We've got a little intermediate sized link in there in case you're in between sizes, and not one but two telescoping sleeved extensions of 1.5 millimeters, so you can fine tune the fit that way. Twin trigger release, so you have to press them both for this to open up. It gives you great security on the wrist. The Maltese cross, the symbol of Vacheron. You can see it repeats as a motif down the center of the links. The bracelet's nicely finished, fully integrated into the case. This design hails from the 1970s. The original Vacheron Overseas, designed by Dino Modolo and Vincent Kaufman in 1996, was a modern-day interpretation of Jörg Heisig's 1977 Vacheron 222 tonneau case integrated bracelet sports watch. So that's where this design comes from. Of course, the Overseas has evolved to create an identity of its own since then, but some of the cardinal design elements, like the tonneau case, the integrated lugs, and the bracelet that tapers, they're still there. There's a lovely bevel that expands on the lug hoods and then continues down the shoulders of the links. Their outer faces are polished. The tops are satinated with the exception of the recesses, which are sharply creased and internally polished. It's very nice attention to detail. The watch has lug hoods and case tops that are satinated. We have screw-down crown with the Maltese cross and screw-down chronograph pusher shoulders. The watch is 150 meters water resistant, and it has 25,000 ampere per meter anti-magnetic qualities. So whereas a Milgauss is 80,000 ampere per meter, and the definition of an anti-magnetic watch is 4,800 ampere per meter, this is quite substantial. At 25,000, more than 5 times the standard for an anti-magnetic watch. The bezel, once again, we're looking at that Maltese cross design. It sits on a plinth. The top of the plinth is satinated, the edge is polished, the recesses of the bezel are satinated, and then the outer edges are polished. The dial is a combination of metallic and gloss elements. So the way this starts is you have a metallic dial that's polished, and then translucent blue lacquer is applied on top. Very similar to a certain blue chronometer also made in Geneva. You can see the family relation. There's a Rotor outboard that acts as a sort of unifier of the bezel to the dial. It's the track against which you read the seconds and the minutes, as well as chronograph fractions of seconds. We have applied rose gold indices, a rose gold frame for the date, rose gold Vacheron logo, and rose gold hands. Gold to match the color of the case, but also because gold won't oxidize, tarnish, or change its color over time. No shortage of lume. Let's take a look at the lume. Beautiful blue lume on a beautiful blue dial. And then sunken registers. You could see that the double-digit date of the second generation and first generation Overseas Chrono is gone, more conventionally placed now between 4 and 5, and so too is the Big I minute recorder that you would have found on the original version of the second series. That second series had a larger minute register called the Big I that made it easier to read the minutes. This is a more symmetrical dial. We're going to use the quick release system for this strap to make it easier to enjoy the case back of this watch. Okay, the case back. What can I say? This is the first generation overseas to have a manufactured chronograph caliber, a display case back, and Geneva Hallmark certification. So let's start with the basic, Geneva Hallmark. You can see it on the bridge, but you can also see it on the watch, as since mid-2012, it's been a test of the full watch, not just the finish of the movement. We have a rotor in 22 karat gold, not 21, not 18, not rose gold plated tungsten, 22 karat gold. It has a compass rose design, evocative of overseas travel, now that the ship on the case back is gone. There's 4 separate types of finish on that rotor, and it rotates on ceramic ball bearings for high efficiency. We have a black polished column wheel with a Maltese cross at its center. The column wheel feel on this watch is outstanding. It's more pronounced. I would say it's sharper and more mechanical than the Frédéric Piguet movement previously used in the Overseas Chronograph. This is a lot more fun to use. There's also a vertical clutch, which means when the chronograph engages, there's no jump or stagger. The hand doesn't leap forward or rock the way it would with a lateral clutch. And you'll note the subtlety of the chronograph hands on the dial as they are matte finished compared to the polish of the other hands. The automatic winding movement has a 52-hour power reserve via twin mainspring barrels. They give it a long-ish power reserve, but the other advantage of having 2 barrels in series is that they can be phased so that the torque curve of this watch is super flat. So caliber 5200, when it's fully wound, isn't going to gallop and gain a lot of time, but nor is it going to lose a lot of time because of diminished amplitude after 18, 24, 36 hours. The balance has a 4 hertz beat rate, so 8 beats per second. All of this is 54 hours of power reserve, pivots on 54 joules. And as you can see, it is adjusted in 5 positions, which is the standard for chronometers and high horology watches. Taking a quick look at the finish, the stripes are beautifully shaded from one edge to another. That's a sign of abrasive wheel stripes. We have black polished on the regulator cap, the column wheel, the screw heads, all of which have been mirror polished. Take a quick look. You can see the mirrored anglage from this angle really lighting up on the edge of the bridges. And of course, we've got that lovely rotor, which is the most elaborately finished part of the whole movement. All told, a good-looking movement that properly fills the caseback of this 42.5mm watch. Geneva Hallmark, manufacture movement, and display casebacks. The Overseas has finally gotten with the times. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details. I know you will have one more question, which is about hacking, and the answer, at least for the time being, is no. But what the watch does have is a quick set function for rapidly cycling the date. I think that covers just about everything. Reach out to T Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing.